Yeah, Thomas. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today in this event. Well, I'm going to present a little bit who we are for those who don't know about Speculative Futures Barcelona. And after that, after the brief presentation, Gustavo will talk about this topic, temporal literacy. We are eager to hear you, Gustavo. It is a pleasure to have you today here. For those who don't know who we are Speculative Futures, the chapter from Barcelona. Speculative Futures is an initiative that was born in San Francisco originally in 2016, and it is a community that meet frequently to discuss about futures thinking, speculative design, etc., all about the future. And and after a while, the community grew, and we created the concept of chapter, and which is like try to replicate the community in other cities. And here is our community, the Speculative Futures community from Barcelona. We run frequently events, mainly online. We've done 4 events so far, if I'm not mistaken, Libby. And today is our 4th event. As I was saying, we've got several chapters already worldwide. We've got another chapter here in Spain, in Madrid. Other chapters are from Amsterdam, London, Vienna, etc., etc. So we are pretty worldwide. And I think most of us must know this event, Primer, which is one of the biggest events about futures thinking, speculative design, speculative practices, which is really interesting. I think this month we will have the next edition. So I recommend you to check on the internet the program. It is really exciting, and always it is really, really, really enriching to assist to the event. And here is our team, mainly Libby and I, Xavi, and we are practitioners from different fields. Libby, for example, is expert on trends mainly. She's working currently in trend watching. In my case, I'm mainly strategist. I've been dealing with branding and innovation in my career. And we both are really, really passionate about futures, about speculative thinking. So that's pretty much how we are. And we've got 4 main goals as a community. As you can see, first of all, we want to inspire with methodologies, practices, practitioners such as Gustavo. We like also to give voice to local projects or projects that deals with speculative thinking, and we also want to connect experts and people who is passionate about all these practices. And that's pretty much who we are. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. Wait a second. Yeah, that's pretty much what we are. We can drop us a line always in our official channels. We've got Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also email. And yeah, that's pretty much. Libby, I don't know if you want to introduce Gustavo, and after that, Gustavo, all yours.
Thanks, Xavi. So yes, actually, I think it's a better idea if Gustavo introduce himself because he's the best person to do so. I just wanted to say how happy we are to have him today. Gustavo is an amazing cross industry professional, really inspiration person that is really questioning and helping us question ourselves and the narratives that shape our lives and society at whole. So Gus, the floor is all yours. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, everyone, I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Really great to be here with you. I am Gustavo, but you can also call me Gust or Gust. I'm from Brazil. I'm from the north of Brazil, from the Amazon rainforest region. So I will not be talking in Portuguese here. We are in the Barcelona chapter. We could be talking in Spanish, but you can talk in your own language in the moments that we are sharing. I'm sure that we are going to understand each other here. We are going to translate each other if necessary. We are going to talk about some not complex, but quite sophisticated concepts here. So it was already quite a lot for me to bring this concept from Portuguese to English in the earlier years of my work and research. I also want to be able to do this in Spanish in some moment, but this session we are going to be in all the possible languages together. So I will share my screen, and feel free to send messages on our chat or to just open your mic and interrupt whenever you want to ask something, because this is going to be a conversation together. So sharing my screen, I still can see all of you here. If you want to also share, I will be seeing our chat as well. So yes, to start, after this first minutes, we are going to be in this session talking about temporal literacy. First, I would like to say that I've been starting since 2013 different projects around time and around our relationship with time. So I have a consultancy called Taurus that do projects for brands, and also this independent project. There is a Temporality Lab. It is the place where we can experiment with other temporalities. And we do that through education, through different learning communities in Brazil and worldwide. And with the Temporality Lab, I think it is amazing to be able to share how we can think about our relationship with time. And this is the main question that I would like to bring to all of us today. We're going to talk about a lot of different concepts and ideas and experiments together, but try to bring that to your own experience, to your own life, and not only to your practice, not only to the perception of how we can apply that to business or to educational projects, but about your relationship with time. And why I'm saying that? Because when we're talking about temporalities, we're not only talking about time, like not the time weather, not the time from the physics, not the psychological time. We are also talking about the time of our lives. When we talk about a temporality, we're talking about this state of existing in time, the way we relate to time. If I grew up in a culture that, like most of us, make us get up every day and go to a work that is going to start to 9 and go till 5, like Beyonce singing, and we are gonna build a temporality around that. We're gonna build our lives around this, for example, around the concepts and identity around work. But we have many different cultures that their temporality, their way to exist in time, is not connected to that. And my work with the Temporality Lab is to invite people to question these current temporalities, and also to be able to search in different narratives, from ancestral narratives and more emerging narratives, other possibilities for our existing. So talking about that, I would like to invite you to do like an experiment. I could close here to ask to you, like we're gonna enter in the menti.com, we're gonna access this link and then just put this code. So menti.com, we can also share here in our chat, 2028 4681. And then I would like to, before I start to share different concepts, to also have your perception about that. Not asking specifically about the concept of time, but about words that represent the time that we are living in. So I will ask to you to access that. Can be in your phone, can be in your computer, if you are using both. What we're gonna do is to try to think as many words that can come to our mind. I will also open here to be able to see together. So a word that best represents our time. And I will share the screen with you, and then we can think about it all together. Then people can just access here, and then we start to add. So while you are answering, you can put more than one, of course. So words that best represents our time, our relationship with time, the time that we are living in. So speed is in the center till the moment. Fast, change, unpredictable. What else? Productivity, uncertainty, money, linear. And then we have like different words that start to appear also together here, from values, from spiral, fluid, also other ideas that are present more in the periphery here at the moment. No thinking, currency like connected to money. And then we can see that fast, speed, change, linear are like there in the center of our cloud at the moment. I will wait for more people to enter and to be able to also contribute if you want. But it's interesting how we not even talked anything about time until now, and we have like a similar understanding, right? That we are dealing with a lot of change. We are also learning how this relationship with change that we have, it is focused and based on speed and how fast we deal with everything. And this is basically the definition of our temporality at the moment, right? I would like also to invite you to update the screen that you are at the moment. And then what we are gonna do is that I'm gonna change the question. Like if you already answered this one, I will change the question, because I also would like to twist a little bit the things that we are asking, and then to ask to you, how would be the time that represents our best? Which words you would bring to our conversation to think, how would be this time? It's like a more speculative scenario as well. How would be for you and for us to think about a time that could represent our best? Same code, you just need to update the page, yes. Then I'll give some seconds of silence to you answer. I'm curious to know more and also to be able to comment things. So I know some people are still reflecting and thinking about, but I will start to comment, but you still can add things here if you are still changing the link or just filling the boxes of the form. So let's read together. So here we have, when we think about the time that could represent our best, it is like a subtle change of questions, like from the first one to this one, but completely different scenario, right? We are talking here about slow in opposition of the fast and the speed of the other one, not linear, with pauses, thinking about futures in plural, but also about the past, to be able to create projections towards prosperity, connected to nature, with more local or atomical or atomizes perspectives, also about balance in a time that could be more balanced, controlled. Interesting to have controlled here. But I understand the meaning here for control in the sense of in opposition of the chaos that we believe that we are living, right? It is interesting to bring these different narratives, because I also can share here already with you that to some Greek culture, to the Greek culture in the past, the opposition of chaos was not order as we believe, because we have this idea of control, right? That in the opposition of the chaos, we have the concept of order. And to the Greek culture, the opposite of chaos was the concept of beauty. So how we can find beauty and art in opposition to the chaos that we believe that we are living today. This was one of the original different perspectives of how to deal with things around. And network, since we are here in a community, I think this is a good word as well to talk about our relationship with time. So I will come back here to see you and also to see our presentation. So yeah, look how simple is the difference between the moment that we are reading the society around, the moment that we are mapping and navigating everything that exists already, the spirit of our time. And I know that most of the people that are here that are designers, researchers, artists, that people that are in touch with this this reality around, we believe that we are doing great, like a great job when we are in touch of what it is there already, what the world is already. But it is a subtle change when we start to think not only about what the world is, but what else the world can become. It is our responsibility as well when we are talking about the times. Like my work at the moment, it is not connected to a specific perspective of future, but it is in this place in between that we can find ways to help to build the horizons of this long-term perspective of this next era, while we are addressing also the urgencies of the present and of the next hour. So it is important to find this place in between the world that it is and the world that can become, the future and the present. It is not something about binaries to try to create an like a contrast between to think about future or to be present in the now. We can find this relationship with time that is about the integral, the whole perspective of temporality. Like we can be, yes, looking to the next hour and to the next era at the same time. And then with that, as I mentioned, we create this educational projects and experiments around time. And I think one of the main ideas that are like present in most of the projects that I'm doing is that how to experiment with other temporalities. Because we can teach, we can talk, we can share, but it is important to be able to feel, to touch, to explore, to experiment, to talk with people about it. And here I also bring like not only the idea of experiment to go beyond the idea of vocabulary, but also how we can put this vocabulary in practice, but also this concept of others. We really believe that the way we live, like the future that we believe, the ideas that we have about present, the ideas we have about time, the ideas that we have about culture, about the reality, they are the right ones, the main ones. But maybe they are the mainstreams, but this doesn't mean that we have only one. Just like futures in plural, it is important for us to understand this approach of who we are calling others. So that's why this project, it is really connected to a decolonial approach about what time is, because when we are questioning this main perspectives, we also are making room for what else the world can be, what else the world can become. When we are talking about, for example, an African perspective of time, an indigenous from Latin American perspective of time, they are not others, because when we are talking with this approach, we are believing that me, like I am in the center and we have others. And when we start to understand that, no, I am not in the center, my perspective is not in the center, this is a colonial approach. When we start to think that we have many and mine is also one of the others, like we are a perspective, not the perspective of time, right? So we also question our biases with that. Together with the concept of temporality that I shared already with you, it is important to talk that is about our relationship with time. For me, it is important also to talk about resonance. And why resonance? Because we don't build a temporality, a relationship with time by ourselves. It is important also to think about our relationship with each other, like with other people, with our communities, with our societies. Like temporality, it is a lot about to think about our habits, our routines, our individual relationship with time. But we have many different individuals doing that at the same time, building shared agreements, collective agreements that are becoming and build different societies, building different cultures, different realities. To talk about resonance, it is also to understand that just like I am influencing you at the moment, this group that is here is also influencing me. It is a two-way road. This is the concept of resonance. It is to think that we are not trying to to find a harmony, that everyone is going to be the same. Resonance is more about to understand that we have our singularities, our particularities, but all of them are going to influence each other and vibrate together in some way. So this is about relationship as well, just like our relationship with time. So yes, if you brought like in our question before, change, yes, we are dealing with a lot of change in our time. And yes, time is also defined as the measure of change. This was one of the first concepts, like more than almost 10 years ago, that I had contacted my project to see how if we don't perceive the time passing or the change happening around, we don't feel the time, right? Because time is also how we measure the movement, the transformation, everything that is changing around. That's why if we say that we have more things changing around, we also feel that the time is passing faster. If we are, for example, in a place that we are not getting access to a lot of news and we are not aware of the changes that are happening, we also say, it feels that the time is passing different. This doesn't mean that change is not happening in that context without access to the news. We just have different changes happening. And still about that, yeah. I also bring how the futurism, the perspective that we look to the future, has a cultural blind spot. We, in most of the times when we are talking about these scenarios, we are looking only to the technological perspective. And I also, like inside of my project, I also started to be in contact and studying and teaching in different places with this community around futures, that we know that a lot of people are looking to that through the approach of the technology. But it is important for us to also understand and to think that sometimes when we are trying to find a solution to a company that exists already, to a big company that exists already, to use a new technology to continue to do what that company is doing, but just in the future, this should not be called like futurism or future studies. This is just the maintenance of the status quo. When we are just keeping what is there with new technology, this is techno-fetishism, this is techno-capitalism. This should not be called futurism or to think about future. To think about futures, it is to also bring this aspect of reality, of culture, of temporality, because we know that we have, just like in the image here, from Flintstones to Jetstones, is the same story. We're just changing the layer of technology, and should not be like that. We should be speculating, we should be creating different scenarios, we should be asking to ourselves, what if? And I really believe that when we are in contact, in touch with these different narratives, ancestral and emergent narratives, we can do that. So why the time is so important to this conversation? Oh my God. This sentence is from the sociologist Mumford Lewis. He said that it was the clock and not the steam engine, the defining gear of the industrial age, the modern industrial age. Why? Because if we start to think that, yes, we think a lot about trains and all the movement that we've started to have in the world to create a globalization, but in fact, it was the moment that we started to be independent from the natural time, from the cyclical time, from nature, because we created the factories and all the places that we should be working from 9 to 5, for example, independently of what is happening outside. We try to become independent from nature. We try to create our own relationship with the world. But how come this is possible? Since we are also part of nature. Like, we cannot become independent from nature. We cannot become independent from our relationship with natural time. Yes, if we are, for example, I am from a city, from like in my hometown, we don't have seasons because we are really close to the equator line. Basically, you have like, there is warm as hell and rains basically the whole day, because this is what the Amazon rainforest does. So I needed to get used to the fact that now I am in Amsterdam, and to know that during summer people are gonna be out, and then they're gonna be having a different relationship with their work, and during winter we also are gonna have like less energy, so we need to keep up to try to be able to deal with everything that is happening. So the weather, what we call the weather in Portuguese, is the same word that we use for time. We use the same word that it is also timing in music in English. So we have the same word for these three things: for music, for weather, and for time. That is tempo. And I think it is a good way to think also of how it's important to think that in nature, when we are talking about this cyclical relationship with the seasons, we are talking about a relationship with time. Of course, during summer, we are feeling more energized, and we just want to get out of like in front of our computers as fast as we can, because we want to enjoy the sun. And during winter is the opposite, but we are more sleepy because we are part of nature. We should not try to become independent from that. A lot of the problems, the issues that we created, was also because of this idea to disconnect ourselves from this cyclical perspective of time. And I would like to bring a reflection about your individual relationship with time. I would like to ask you to share in our chat which perspective of time you feel more connected with. I will explain to you, so I will try to expand your vocabulary about time. I know that most of us, we talk about past, present, and future. Like time is so important, but these are the 3 words that we use to define time. And in different cultures, we have many other perspectives beyond the linear time in the past, present, and future. But inside of past, present, and future, I want to double that and bring new words that are already here. The first one is to think if your relationship with past is driven by guilt or gratitude. Because we can look to the past, we can, for example, enter here in our session, and because of some reason you entered here a little bit late, and because of that you started to think, oh my God, since the morning I am late, or every meeting that I did today I was late, and then this is happening since my college. Oh my God, I never can wake up early. And then you are not here anymore. Like, you are not in our session anymore. You are oriented to the past, thinking about like something that is shaping your reality at the moment, to the past perspective, towards guilt. Probably you had a moment like this. I have a lot of this kind of moments. We also can have a different perspective, that is to look to our past and to things that happened with us with the lenses of gratitude. And this is not the approach of the happycracy, to try to think, oh my God, so I should try to see the beautiful perspective of everything. It's not about the event itself. It's about you. It's about the way you are dealing with your past. How you can also honor your steps, your efforts towards your relationship with past that shaped this person that is here right now. Because we know that it was not like all the things that happened with us that were only like great things and really easy things and things to celebrate. We had a lot of challenges also in life, but you dealt with that. You were able to do something around it, and you should not be grateful about these things, but you should be grateful about what you did with these things to be here in the present. So these are different lenses about past that can already expand our relationship with our individual perspective of time. The other ones about present, we also have like a more fatalistic perspective of time in the present, an orientation to time that we are here living the present, but I was expecting a different approach to this session. But then you don't do anything, like you don't share. Everything is a fate. It's like a destiny that you are not in control. So everything is happening with you in the present, and you don't have any, you try to control. Since you don't have control, you are just sad. Fate is like the destiny is happening with me. This is the fatalistic perspective of present. The other one is this hedonistic perspective of present that tells us, yes, we should not have control. We cannot have control of things, but then we can try to enjoy at least. Like, we don't have control. No one is gonna have this control about things. So how we can enjoy more the present, how we can celebrate more. Doesn't matter if things are not happening exactly as you were expecting, how you can enjoy. And towards future, also we have this transcendental perspective of future that is like, I would love to live in a regenerative future with all of that items of Wakanda and the Shambani advertising. But then what we are doing in the present to live in this context? Like, the transcendental future is that one that we have an image, but we have also this gap in between. We are not putting effort in that direction, like in our present. And the concrete perspective is these futures that we understand that, yes, if I wanna live in a castle tomorrow, I should start to put bricks in around me today. I need to start to do something concrete today in order to build this future. This perspective of 6 lenses of time that I brought to you now, they are from Felipe Zimbardo. He is a psychologist that wrote the book called The Paradox of Time. And he did like this huge research in Stanford to map with people individual perspectives of time to say that, yes, we are here together at this moment, and we are not living in the same temporality. We're not living in the same relationship with time. Some of us can be more oriented towards past, with guilt, with gratitude. Some people are going to be more towards future, oriented towards future, with concretude, with the transcendental perspective. Also important to say that we don't have only one orientation. We change, we switch that during the day, during the month, during the week, also based on the events that are happening with us, with what is changing around our lives. And one of the most interesting things from Zimbardo's study is to say that more important is not the energy that we put towards future, the concrete futures, because you can say that, like most of us, and me included, I had this idea that, yes, I should be a person future-oriented towards the concrete aspect, but then we can become a society just like we are now, that we are putting a lot of effort into build new things as fast as we can, the thing about speed that we mentioned, without celebrate properly, without set things and to process things. And this is also what is creating a lot of traumas, because we are not processing things. So he says in his study, he discovered in his study, he's a psychologist, right? That the most important perspective here, it is the gratitude toward past, because it is in the moment that we can set things and then we can process things that we lived already, that we also can find new paths. We can also understand that we can open new futures, because if you have unsolved things or unresolved things, you are going to insist in that. You're going to repeat that mistake. You're going to continue to put effort and energy inside of the same direction. But then when we understand the lesson, we can evolve to the next one. We don't need to be stuck in the same cycle. We can understand that life is a spiral and go towards the next lessons. Probably you had experience with that around a relationship, that you found the same kind of traits in another person, or with a boss or with a job in a company, that you started to do the same thing until the moment that, just like Beyonce, I'm gonna bring this example again, you're gonna say like, I'm back and I can sleep good tonight because I am not stuck inside of that context anymore. So gratitude towards past is what also open new paths towards future. This also brings to us that our relationship with time is not fixed. We have, yes, an essence, like a singularity, that is a story that is only yours, but we find different ways to express our relationship with time and our own temporality in our lives. As I mentioned to you, like I started this project, really focused into study change, social change, the protests and riots that were happening around the world from like around 2012 and 2013. But this research and project also evolved, found different expressions. And I believe that you also can find in your own story how you have an essence, but this essence is finding different ways to express in different jobs, in different places that you lived, in different relationships, in different friendship around. So it is also an interesting question to think, what is there that is a singularity that continues to keep there, doesn't matter what changes? So the timelessness, yes, perspective of your life, but also the temporal perspective of your life, that is the expressions that are changing, like the measure of this change. I know that most of us, we try to be in sync with the zeitgeist in our projects, in our professional life, in our personal life. So that's why we study a lot of trends. That's why we are connected with a lot of people from innovation and from innovative projects. Zeitgeist was also one of the first words that started to come like in this project, that it is a German word for talking about the connection with the spirit of the times. So the ideas, the values, that represents this time that we are living now or another moment of history, right? But then it is important to tell you that the Zeitgeist, the original, like the concept of Zeitgeist, is not talking about to try to be living towards the future, the trends, the innovation, the new, these words that we use to define future. The Zeitgeist, the spirit of time, it is also connected to many different perspectives of time that are interacting. Right here, right now, in this time that we are living, we know that we have a lot of people living in outdated codes, in outdated habits, a lot of people that are still being racist, misogynists, homophobics, transphobics, and then you can identify, like we can have people talking about new technologies, but then in a conversation that someone is mistreating or misleading, like a relation with someone, you can feel like, oh my God, this person is completely out of reality, out of time. This is what we call residual time. It is like these ideas that they should not be here anymore, but we should remember these ideas and concepts and language and behaviors in order to try to keep them as an absurd as they are. But then we also have the dominant time. That is everything that we call the status quo, the mainstream, that is defining culture. And what we call the emergent time, it is also it is all these evidences of potential next narratives, things that are still not quite concrete, they are not exactly happening here, but we can have like almost like this smell or sense that these things are pointing like a compass to different directions. Most of us, we know what is absurd in the residual time. We know what is a trend or an innovation coming to the emergent time. But then we should look more to the dominant time, because since we are children of this mainstream culture, we don't question that. But then we forget that most of the things that we call absurds today, they were dominant in some way, in some day, and they were present in the culture until the moment that someone decided to stand and say, this doesn't make any sense why we are doing that. So we should be also these people questioning the dominant time in order to understand what is dominant today that is going to be the absurd of tomorrow. The Zeitgeist is this interaction in between all of these different perspectives, all of these times together. We also should be really empathetic, have a lot of empathy to understand that some people, they are going to have different doses of this relationship with time. And because of that, maybe they are not going to have the same understanding of future, of innovation, of speculative design that we have. And with the empathy, we can also invite people to share the same temporality, the same relationship with time that we have, if we believe that this can be useful or good in some way. Even this perspective of the Zeitgeist that I mentioned is changing. This is the Histo Map. I really love this map and this project. It is a huge map that shows us how power shifted in different moments of reality, in different moments of our history. So we can see, like, based in the how narrow or big is each color in each line, power in hands of different people. Like I will show you again because I like this one. Yeah, and we have like the Egyptian Empire being really good, and then the Mongolian one, and then they started to be really small, and then the United States is big now, but who knows? Like, we are living in this moment of history that we believe that because of the last 200 years, things were more or less like the things that we are living today, that they were always like this. And this is not true. The Histo Map like brings like this perspective of the last 4,000 years. Things are always in change. So we also should not be that worried about oh my God, because this system, this narrative, this language, this work, this way of doing things, they're not going to be forever. They're not going to be eternal. Things are changing, and we should approach the world not as something fixed, but as I mentioned, we should look more to the world through the perspective of what we can become and not only what we are at the moment. Talking about what we can become, this is a map that I collaborated to bring here with a trend analyst that works in Milan today, Fa Maioli. She, in our conversations and our projects, she brought this idea, this insight for me, that it is not only the concepts that we are living that are changing, but also the world archetype is changing. So also our lenses to look to these technologies, to these cultures, they are also changing. And they are changing from this aspect of the masculine, occidental, fast approach or archetype to this approach that, just like we talked in the beginning, that is more connected to the slow, feminine, the colonial aspect of reality. Like here, we could go doing the parallel in between all of them, but what I would like to bring to you about that is this myth of speed. It is really interesting because we believe that, what is the myth of speed? Myth is like the story, the narrative behind. We believe that we started to live in a society connected to this idea of speed because we wanted to arrive, to reach different places as fast as we can, right? But in fact, the myth of speed comes from a moment of history that the mankind, the humankind, wanted to just have commodity, just to be able to sit in a car or in a horse and arrive in the other place without walk. And this idea, the central idea of commodity around the myth of speed also brings this idea that, yes, you don't want to have the food arriving as fast as you want in our house, and that's why you are ordering Uber Eats. It's because you don't want to move. You want to be like, to have the commodity. And because of the commodity, we also stop to look to all of the impact that these things can bring. Doesn't matter. What matters is like that I will be here, like without moving, without putting effort, I'm just paying. And this created this society around speed. Why this is important? Because the other myth, it is the myth of the great mother. It is this aspect to understanding what is the word, the central aspect of this myth, this narrative, is care, what the mother does in this sense. It is about connection. It is about care. It is about to understand that everything that we do in the world, it is going to impact and influence someone else. So how we can understand that we should be looking for other people around, looking for our planet, and all of these other concepts connected to this other world archetype, they are connected to this aspect of care. This doesn't mean that there is right and wrong. This is not a linear reading here. I know that we can look from one side to the other, but remember that we are talking also about a story that is a spiral. In some moment, we were already living more connected to nature, and we understood that we needed to learn different things. So we started to use, in the recent history, this other aspect. We are questioning this other aspect at this moment and living, trying to live more connected to the other one. But this is a story that we should try to see what we can learn from these different perspectives beyond the binaries. Because in the spiral, we are going to come back to that in some moment, but it is important to come back in another level, of consciousness, how we can use that in our favor, not against us. Also understanding that this change that we are talking is not happening in like this is not going to happen tomorrow. This is not going to happen when we start our new company all together in the next year. Like this is not in the time that we would like to happen things in the human life. Just like we can think that, yeah, my life is an event that a lot is changing, but everything around, we believe that they are things. Just like, for example, buildings or the pyramids. We believe that they are things. Things are there. They are stuck. They were there already, and they will continue to be there. But in fact, even the pyramids, they are events. We have, in some moment, the pyramids, they were just rocks. Now they are this event that is in that shape for the last 6,000 years, but this will not last forever. In some moment, they're going to be sand, they're going to be dust, but they are changing in a different temporality than ours. Sometimes we try to imagine that everything in the world is changing the same speed or in the same pace of human life. But no, we have a lot of different types of life happening in the world. For that, I will not show you, but I would like to invite you to watch on YouTube in your own time, this 10-minute animation that I also saw for the first time in an Anima Mundi festival like years ago, called Das Rad. Das Rad in German means the rocks. It is an animation about how time passes in the temporality of the rocks and not in the temporality of humans only. Das Rad, like this, I put here in the chat. So this is also to talk about impermanence, because we believe that things are changing in our own pace, and this story is not only about us. We should also understand that we have a lot, we need to learn how to deal with impermanence, just like the Japanese culture that learned to celebrate things that are broken through about their own beauty. We should try to find this beauty also in things that are broken in ourselves, like to also find this way to look to the impermanence as a way to connect with new things. There is this really famous quote that says that the broken parts, it is from where the light comes. The light can enter through that. So let's try to look to the impermanence in this sense. I really like this story to think about, even when we think, for example, about tattoos in our bodies, that we can think, oh my God, but this is such a huge change that I will need to deal with that forever. No, this is not about forever. The tattoo can be permanent, but even your body is temporary. So when we start to have this relationship with impermanence, we also start to connect with things in a different way. Everything is temporal, not in the sense of temporary only, that things are going to be like really fast, but everything is temporal. Everything is connected to time, is related to time in different scales. And this is what we should be trying to look. I know that this is more in the individual aspect. In the collective aspect, we have a lot of technological change happening around, and we should look to that. I'm not ignoring that, bringing other perspectives. But we also should think that this technological change is bringing a lot of social change, because we are dealing collective with like a different shaping our cultures in different way. And this social change is also accelerating the weaving of our individual life, creating a lot of things like the burnout culture, the anxiety, the depression, the things that are connected to speed. And we have new technologies coming. So like this is a cycle that we should be looking through all of these different aspects collectively. We have this author mapping this aspect of speed in our society that I really like that approach. But also to say that in some sense, all of us, we feel that we are out of sync of all of these things happening around. That yes, I can follow. This is my work. I know how to follow all of this change that is happening around. But it is also, should I be looking to that direction? These narratives that people are telling, for example, to escape to the metaverse, to escape to Mars, this is inevitable. This is the place that we all are gonna go. Like this is, I feel in sync with this idea. Like sometimes we feel that we are like dislocated in some way of these ideas that are happening around. So yes, I understand that there is an opportunity in crypto because of that should I be focusing on all my work and understand how to connect with that? Like we have this idea that comes also from the aspect, the world archetype of the speed, that every future that big companies offered to us until now, that they are inevitable, and they are not. We all know that futures are in this realm of potentiality. They are potential futures. They didn't materialize yet. They are not concrete yet. This also means that if we decide that we are going to focus our community in study and to build solutions about the colonial perspectives, regenerative perspectives of cyclical connection with the reality, with local futures, yes, we can shift the narrative towards that direction. This is the narrative that people that have money at the moment are telling us, and since they have a lot of money, we believe that these temporalities are inevitable, but they are not. We know that a lot of people here today are studying these opportunities around some of these futures, but they are also not putting all of their belief that these things are going to happen. And that's why we are also here to look into other possible narratives. And with that, I want to bring another concept that is not the zeitgeist, but is the Zeitgeber. What is the Zeitgeber? The Zeitgeber is this idea that we have different central elements directing the zeitgeist. So just like Facebook can be really central today, saying that the future is towards one direction, and because of that, in some sense, in a digital temporality, Facebook is a Zeitgeber, is donating or offering one direction to time. We have other Zeitgebers. To talk about more this natural perspective, we can say that the sun is a Zeitgeber because we wake up every day and the sunrise and the sunset are ways to understand our relationship with time. The tides, when we are at the beach, you can say that the water is getting closer to you or going farther. And this is also a Zeitgeber. The moon is a Zeitgeber with their cycles and their phases. The seasons of the year, they are also Zeitgebers. The stars can be Zeitgebers. And then when we start to think also that our community, our families, our relationships, they can be central. We can orbit towards other elements that they can be shaping our relationship with time. They can be our central element in this sense. And I really like this quote from Jose Arguelles. He is a Mexican-American author that he says that who owns your time also owns your mind. If we are following one of these perspectives, yes, our mind is going to believe that this is the only reality possible. It is inevitable. But when we start to look to other perspectives, and I'm not questioning in the sense of, so we're not gonna look to that other perspective anymore. No, we should look to multiple ones, to the pluriversal perspective, right? And not to an universal, like a singular perspective of our relationship with time. Just like the clock, the calendar, the Gregorian calendar, it is a belief system that we follow. And we believe that this is a natural cycle in some way. No, this is also an agreement, a collective agreement created first in a first edition, in a first format in Rome, in the Roman Empire, and the church in the 16th century decided to bring that to this universal approach. Everyone should use that. So we have the 12 months, some of them like irregular months, some of them with 28 days, 31, 30 days. This is not following any natural or natural aspect of time about the year, for example. Just to give an example, the months July and August, they were not there in the first version of this calendar. It had like 10 months, and the Pope decided to make to honor two emperors, sorry, Julius, the Caesar, and also Augustus. And because of that, they created like 2 months in the summer. That is like the best part of the year. So they decided to create like these 2 months. And because of that, the month that was the the 7th. So September has 7, sept in the name, became the 9th month. And the October, that was the 8, was the 8th month, become the 10th. And November was 9, became the 11th. And December, that was 10, become. So we have like all of these irregular things that we can say, why we are following that? Yeah, we are following that because someone decided politically to make an homage to these emperors, these Italian emperors. And what the hell, what is my connection to this story? We also should look to how our culture, our regional culture, interpret time in different ways. Most of them, they didn't have a universal aspect like that one. They were connected to cycles, like the 13 moons that we have in the same year. In a moon, so a moon cycle, we have 4 phases of 7 days or weeks. These 4 phases of 7 days, they are also the stages of the moon. They make this cycle of 28 days. We have 13 cycles of 28 days in a year. And with that, we have the same aspect. So if we take all of the irregularities of the other calendar, we can have a more natural cyclical connection with time, the physical aspect of time at least. In this aspect, in this approach, we have 13 moons or 13 months, because the name month also come originally from moon. And we have an extra day in this calendar that is not the 13 months of 28. We have 364 days. So we have also this concept present in many different cultures, like the Mayan one and the Egyptian one, called the day out of time. It is also something that happens in July, just like the Gregorian calendar understood that it is the most, it is central to the calendar in some way. To this culture, was a moment to connect with the other stars. So it is a moment that Sirius is shining more in is closest in the sense. So it is a star that is the brightest one. And because of that, in July, they had the beginning of the year. So the beginning of this 13th moon cycle is after this day that we call the day out of time, that is in July 25th. So, which means that some cultures, they have a year that starts in July 26th and ends in July 24th of the next year, right? With that, it is interesting to think that every day can be a New Year's Eve and can be the beginning of a year, and that we can also have not only like a New Year's Eve, like to have like some hours to think, to celebrate, and to enter in a new year, but in this concept we have a whole day to connect with everything that we learned about the past and everything that we can learn about the future. To close this here and to be able to talk more with you as well, I also would like to invite you to think about what else we could learn, what new relationships we could co-create if we start to think about time in different ways. And I really believe that when we are going through this linear perspective of time, we are losing a lot of the possibilities of our relationship with the reality. And when we are thinking about all of these cycles and the spiral of time, we can also learn a lot that we are not looking to the moment. So to close, as I mentioned, I will tell you a story about these people, since I promised to bring different narratives about time. They are the Himba people. They are from Namibia, this region in Africa, and they have a completely different Zeitgeber. They are not looking only to the sun or to the stars or to the moon. They have a song. This is the Zeitgeber for the Himba people. In some moment of their lives, the women of the Himba people, they go to sit close to a tree, and they say that in a moment that they are half sleeping, half awake, already there around that tree, they start to listen a song. Like, it's not a generic song, it is a really specific song. It is a song telling the story of a baby, of a human being that wants to arrive in the world. And this baby invites that woman to become the mother of this baby that wants to arrive. To the Himba people, this song is present during their whole life. So the women invite, for example, their partners to learn this song. So in the moment they are making the baby, they sing the song to invite that baby to come to the world and live that story. They also teach to everyone that is going to help in the pregnancy to when the moment of the labor that the woman is delivering the baby, they can sing the song to welcome the baby already with the song. And this is present during the whole life because it takes a village to create a baby. So everyone of the community learned that song, and it is present in the rites of passage. It is a way to say, doesn't matter what is happening in your life at the moment, this is part of your song, this is part of the story that you came to live here. Don't try to compare your story with the story of other people, because you have your own song. And in the moment that people, that someone do something considered socially wrong in some way, instead of say, go to jail, you are not part of our community anymore, what they do is that they invite that person, not a baby anymore, to the center of a circle with everyone of the community that know that person. And all of them sing together the song of that person in the center to say, you are not the mistake that you just committed. You are still the same being, the same baby that arrived here in the world to live that song in just were out of sync, out of harmony for some moments. But you can come back to your symphony, you can come back to your song. Completely different than the way we were raised and look into the world, right? Because we started to study things believing that I need to find opportunities, I need to study different things. And then to the Himba people, everything that we learn during our lives is just our curiosity putting ourselves towards the direction of our song. The song was there already, pushing you towards one direction. So I also would like to invite you to think about your own song, your connection with this cosmic approach that this culture brings to us, that shares that we have different stories in time, and then we can learn to live fullest our own song. I really like to study the Mayan perspective of time because they have like different ways to map this song like visually. So they have like, these are almost like the words that they use to identify different kinds of songs, let's say like that, different kinds of stories that we came to live. But they don't use the words, they use symbols, they use like a visual set of elements. There are metaphors, visual metaphors, to help us to think, maybe I am a dreamer, maybe I am a connector, maybe I am a person that came to become like, to help to envision things, maybe I am an explorer. And all of this is present inside of these perspectives here. I can share more about yours if you want to discover about that. But then this is also a way to tell us how we can build different relationships with time. Like I tried, like in the past, I believed that I had a linear relationship with time as well, that I went through the phase to believe that I needed to find my roots, and then in the future I would be connected like with this aspect of technology. Today I believe that is quite more like towards the opposite. Like I learned a lot about technology and I use a lot of these technologies, but I also believe that this exploration around different places around the world that connects us with ancestrality can bring a lot of stories that we lost in our way. And also like to try to find like the place in between, like to find this connection in the present. Like we don't have only this tree, but to try to find our own peace in between these different aspects. So I wanna also open space in these last minutes to hear from you about how do you feel with this exploration in between different temporalities? Thank you.
Amazing, Gus. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing, and more than anything, to share your knowledge with us on this, as you said, quite conceptual and deep matter, but that you managed to communicate in quite accessible and friendly way. So yes, I don't know if anyone has any questions. Yes, as Carolina said, always so inspiring. I completely agree with it. I don't know, perhaps, Chavi, we can stop recording now so people can feel more comfortable
Yes.
asking their questions.